There is something off with Erika Kirk. What she is wearing seems a bit inappropriate to mourn your husband, who was literally taken out for the entire world to see. This woman is not grieving anything. She skipped straight to acceptance. This is most definitely PR, and they're using your grief for marketing. And the fact that Charlie Kirk's assassination is still being covered up, she is still walking around with the same security from September 10th, saying she's so excited for the new content that she'll be releasing. Isn't it strange how a widow stepped into the CEO role? She did 3 speeches already, one at a stadium. Charlie's family didn't even speak, and she's selling t-shirts, and is already hosting her husband's podcast, now doing an all-American halftime show with performers. She's not even home with her 2 young children who just lost their dad, not to mention how they're still trying to cover up her ties in Romania.
There's something seriously off about Erika Kirk. What she's wearing, what she's saying, and even how she's acting, none of it lines up with a grieving widow who just lost her husband in front of the entire world. It's like she skipped straight past grief and went right into marketing mode. And the internet's not imagining it. This whole thing feels staged from top to bottom. But the part that really sent shockwaves through social media, the moment Joe Rogan decided to speak up. He didn't just toss out an opinion, he went straight for the jugular, dropping one of the boldest claims yet about what's really happening behind the scenes of the Kirk family. According to Joe, this isn't just about grief, politics, or business. It's about a truth that's been buried, a truth that someone very powerful doesn't want coming out. When he started connecting dots between Erika's strange behavior, the silence from Charlie's parents, and the timing of his death, people didn't know what to believe. Was Joe just stirring the pot again, or had he just blown the lid off something massive? Either way, this story's no longer about a tragedy. It's about control, manipulation, and a family being pushed out of their own legacy. And hey, if you're new here, please help me hit my goal by subscribing and smashing that like button. It really helps this channel bring you deep dives like this one. Because when Joe Rogan calls something suspicious, the world listens. And what he just said about Erika Kirk might be the most explosive thing yet.
Know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. In this world, you have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife.
Joe Rogan isn't someone who throws himself into drama lightly. He's built his reputation on calling things as he sees them, unfiltered, unapologetic, and brutally honest. But when he brought up Erika Kirk during a recent episode of his podcast, even his co-hosts went quiet. You could feel the tension shift. Joe started by saying he'd been watching how the media handled Charlie Kirk's death, and something just didn't sit right. He said, "It's weird, man. It's like everyone's reading from the same script. Same statements, same tone, same words. And Erika, she's acting like she's selling something." That single line blew up online. Within hours, clips of the episode were circulating, and people were freezing frames, dissecting every expression Joe made. And that's when things got even more intense. Joe hinted that someone from inside the Kirk circle had reached out to him, claiming the image being shown to the public was carefully constructed, down to what Erika wore and when she appeared in public. He didn't name names, but the implication was clear. This wasn't raw emotion, this was reputation management. Still, Joe didn't outright accuse anyone of anything. He left it hanging, like he always does, letting his audience connect the dots themselves. But in the world of internet speculation, that's all it takes. Reddit threads exploded, TikTok started compiling evidence, and by the next morning, #ErikaKirkExposed was trending on X. Joe had officially lit the match, and now the entire Kirk family was under the microscope. From the moment Erika Kirk stepped back into the public eye, something felt off. Her social media posts didn't look like someone mourning a husband. They looked like someone rebranding. The tone was polished, almost rehearsed. No raw emotion, no candid moments, just perfectly lit photos neatly captioned with faith-based quotes and vague reflections that left people wondering who they were really meant for. The comments were split in two. Some fans defended her, saying everyone grieves differently, but others, they couldn't shake the feeling that Erika was performing. They pointed out how she went silent for exactly 1 week before launching a new faith and family project, something she claimed Charlie had inspired her to finish. To a lot of people, that timing didn't feel coincidental, it felt strategic. Then came the interviews. Erika's tone was calm, almost robotic. No cracks in her voice, no emotion behind her eyes. One clip in particular went viral. When a reporter asked how she was holding up, Erika smiled and said, "God's timing is perfect." That single phrase split the internet in half. Some fans praised her strength, but others, they couldn't shake the feeling that Erika was performing. They pointed out how she went silent for exactly 1 week before launching a new faith and family project, something she claimed Charlie had inspired her to finish. To a lot of people, that timing didn't feel coincidental, it felt strategic. And just when the dust started to settle, a few users noticed something strange. She'd quietly deleted hundreds of old photos with Charlie. Years of their life together. Gone. No explanation, no statement, just wiped clean. To the casual eye, it might have been nothing, but to the online detectives following Joe Rogan's lead, it looked like someone trying to rewrite history. If Erika's behavior raised eyebrows, the Kirk family's silence sent alarm bells ringing. For a family that's always been so public, so vocal about their values, their sudden disappearance from the spotlight was impossible to ignore. No statements, no interviews, not even a simple acknowledgement of Joe Rogan's comments. It was like they'd gone completely dark overnight. People who followed the Kirks for years said this kind of silence isn't normal. Charlie's parents were once heavily involved in his organization, but lately their names have vanished from everything. Websites, speaking events, even donor acknowledgments. Some fans theorized that something behind the scenes had fractured the family long before Charlie's death, and that Erika might have had more control than anyone realized. Then came a rumor that made everything even murkier. A small but credible podcast claimed they'd seen documents linking Erika to a private trust that was set up just weeks before Charlie's passing. The timing felt impossible to ignore. Online sleuths started digging, connecting that trust to new business ventures popping up under Erika's name, projects that oddly mirrored Charlie's original work, just with a softer, more influencer-friendly tone. Joe Rogan didn't comment directly on these claims, but on another episode, he said something that fans interpreted as a jab. When money and image get involved, truth is the first thing to disappear. And that line stuck, because to a lot of people, this wasn't just a grieving family retreating for privacy. This was a cover-up, or at the very least, a story being rewritten to protect someone's legacy, just not necessarily Charlie's. It was just a few seconds long, but it was enough to send the internet into chaos. The now viral clip from Joe Rogan's show wasn't even supposed to be about the Kirks. They were mid-conversation about public figures managing their image when Joe suddenly pivoted, saying, "You ever notice how some people start acting different the second their spouse passes, like they've been preparing for it?" His co-host paused, then Joe added, "I'm not saying names, but that whole Kirk situation, it doesn't smell right." That was it. That one unscripted comment with no names and no follow-up detonated online. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. People were slowing it down, reading his facial expressions, trying to figure out whether Joe had insider knowledge or was just echoing the same suspicions the internet had already been whispering. But what really fueled the fire was what happened after. The clip was quietly removed from multiple platforms, not by Joe's team, but reportedly due to copyright claims filed by a third party. No one knew who that third party was, but the takedowns only made people dig harder. Because if this was just a coincidence, why would anyone try to scrub it from the internet? Screenshots of Erika's PR team emailing creators to avoid spreading misinformation started circulating soon after. Whether real or not, they added even more fuel to the conspiracy. The narrative was no longer about Joe Rogan's words, it was about what someone was trying to hide. And once something disappears online, people assume one thing: it's because it was true. Not long after Joe's clip vanished, screenshots began circulating that supposedly showed private messages between Erika and a close family associate. The messages, though unverified, hinted at internal tension, with Erika allegedly saying she was done protecting people who never protected me. Whether they were real or fake didn't seem to matter. The internet treated them like gospel. Within days, Reddit threads were overflowing with theories. Some claimed the messages suggested a falling out between Erika and Charlie's parents. Others said it proved Joe Rogan's suspicions were spot on, that there was a quiet power struggle brewing behind the scenes. And while none of this was confirmed, what made it worse was how Erika responded. Instead of denying the leaks, she went silent. No statements, no clarifications, nothing. For someone who had been posting polished devotionals and branding herself as a pillar of faith, her silence felt deliberate, almost like she didn't want to risk saying something that could be used against her later. Then, an anonymous source on X claimed that a major podcast host had been warned to back off the Kirk story or risk being sued. They didn't name Joe, but everyone connected the dots. The source even attached a blurry screenshot of what looked like a cease and desist draft. Again, completely unverified, but the timing lined up perfectly with Joe's sudden decision not to mention the Kirks again on air. And that's when people started to wonder, if there's truly nothing to hide, why is everyone being so quiet? Because when leaks, silence, and deleted content start happening all at once, it usually means the truth is closer than anyone's comfortable admitting. Almost overnight, Erika Kirk transformed her image. Gone were the quiet, emotional posts about loss and reflection. Suddenly, her entire feed looked like a PR campaign. New headshots, a redesigned logo, and a brand new tagline plastered across her website: faith, resilience, renewal. But what caught people's attention wasn't just the new aesthetic, it was the timing. Her rebrand went live the same week the leaked messages started making waves. It didn't look like damage control, it looked like someone capitalizing on chaos. Erika started doing podcasts again, but only ones hosted by close friends or faith-based influencers known for avoiding controversy. Every interview felt carefully curated. When asked about Charlie, she gave the same calm, almost mechanical answer: "I'm focusing on the future because that's what he would have wanted." But skeptics weren't buying it. They noticed that every time the Kirk name was trending, Erika lodged something new, whether it was a conference, a speaking engagement, or a new video series. It felt less like healing and more like monetizing the moment. Even Joe Rogan, without naming her, commented on one of his episodes: "Grief shouldn't come with a promo code." Listeners knew exactly who he was referring to. From that point on, Erika's rebrand became her biggest controversy yet, because for many watching online, it wasn't about whether she was guilty of anything, it was about how fast she'd turned personal tragedy into a marketing opportunity. And the more she smiled for the cameras, the less anyone believed it was real. The backlash hit like a tidal wave. At first, it was subtle, just a few skeptical comments under Erika's new posts. But within days, it exploded into a full-blown revolt. Longtime followers who once flooded her page with hearts and Bible verses were now flooding it with one question: why now? People accused her of exploiting her husband's name for clout. Others claimed she was using faith as a shield to deflect criticism. And when someone pointed out that every one of her recent brand partnerships seemed to align perfectly with the controversy's peak moments, the narrative shifted from "she's grieving" to "she's calculating." Hashtags like Erika Kirk exposed and Kirk cover up started trending again. This time, not because of Joe Rogan, but because of Erika's own actions. A wave of reaction videos poured in, dissecting her body language, tone, and timing. Every smile became a red flag. Every pause in her interviews was replayed 100 times. But the real blow came when Charlie's former colleague went public, saying that Charlie's vision died with him, and what's left now is a brand, not a mission. That line went viral instantly. People started comparing the old Kirk era to the Erika era, pointing out how quickly everything had shifted from activism to aesthetics. And when Erika responded with a soft, tearless apology video, complete with background music and merch links in the description, the internet made up its mind. To them, this wasn't grief anymore. It was a business strategy wrapped in a Bible verse. And the very image that Erika was trying to protect was now the one falling apart in real time. Weeks after the storm had peaked, Joe Rogan finally broke his silence. He didn't issue an apology, he didn't double down, he just clarified. On a new episode, he said, "Look, I'm not out here trying to destroy anyone, but when things stop adding up, you ask questions. And the second people tried to shut those questions down, that's when I know I was right to ask them." That single quote reignited the whole conversation. Joe didn't name Erika Kirk, but he didn't have to. His audience and the internet at large knew exactly who he was referring to. It was his way of saying he wasn't backing off, even if powerful people wanted him to. In the days that followed, Erika quietly canceled 2 public appearances, and a few of her sponsors reportedly paused their partnerships. Suddenly, the perfectly crafted image she'd built began to crumble. Comment sections that once praised her were now filled with skepticism and mockery. Even mainstream outlets began hinting at a public trust problem. But Joe didn't gloat. Instead, he shifted the focus toward a bigger point. This isn't just about one family, it's about what happens when people start believing their brand more than their truth. That line hit hard and it stuck. Clips of it went viral across every platform, with viewers saying it felt less like a critique of Erika and more like a warning to anyone who lives their life online. For the first time, the conversation wasn't just about what happened to the Kirks. It was about how easily an image can replace reality. And for Erika, that blurred line between truth and performance may be the one thing she'll never escape. While the public drama played out online, what was happening behind closed doors was even messier. Multiple insiders began hinting that the Kirks organization itself was fracturing. Staff who'd once been loyal to Charlie reportedly began leaving quietly, citing ethical concerns and directional changes. One anonymous email leaked to a gossip outlet claimed that internal meetings had become more about optics than purpose. Erika, meanwhile, was said to be tightening control, personally approving statements, monitoring what former associates said online, and restructuring leadership roles. To some, it looked like a woman trying to save what was left. To others, it looked like someone consolidating power before it all came crashing down. Even family members who had once supported her started distancing themselves. A distant relative allegedly unfollowed her across all platforms, a tiny move but one that fans instantly noticed. And when a cousin posted the cryptic message, "You can't serve God and greed at the same time," the internet went wild with speculation. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan's podcast team stayed completely silent, but off the record, some said he'd been approached by people close to the Kirks asking him to move on from the story. Whether that's true or not, it added a new layer of tension, because if powerful people were trying to control the narrative, it only proved Joe's point. By this stage, the Kirk family name had become radioactive. Sponsors were hesitant, allies were quiet, and even sympathetic fans didn't know what to believe anymore. And through it all, Erika stood at the center, smiling for cameras, quoting scripture, and acting like everything was fine, while the empire around her quietly fell apart.
Just when it seemed like the story had finally burned out, a shocking twist reignited everything. A small independent journalist released a deep dive exposing what they called the Kirk family's missing year. It included financial filings, event contracts, and digital archives that painted a very different picture of what was happening behind the scenes before Charlie's death. The most talked about revelation? A series of private donations and shell accounts allegedly tied to ventures Erika launched after Charlie's passing, projects that had been quietly registered months before his death. It didn't prove anything illegal, but it made one thing clear: this rebrand wasn't spontaneous. It had been in the works all along. Within hours, that report went viral. The internet didn't know whether to be angry, shocked, or impressed. Even Joe Rogan chimed in again, saying, "When you see the timeline, it's hard not to wonder if we were all just watching a script unfold." That comment alone reignited every theory, every post, every clip that had gone quiet for weeks. But here's the truth: whether the report was accurate or not no longer mattered. By now, Erika's reputation was shaped not by evidence, but by perception. People didn't need proof anymore. They had already decided what they believed. And that's the dangerous part about stories like this. Once the internet smells blood, it doesn't stop until there's nothing left to tear apart. Joe Rogan didn't just spark a conversation. He exposed how fragile image, influence, and truth really are when they collide in the public eye. Because at the end of the day, the Kirk family story isn't just about scandal or secrets. It's about how fast trust can disappear in a world where everyone's watching and no one's forgiving. And hey, if you've made it this far, make sure you hit that subscribe button and help me reach my goal. It means a ton, and it helps the channel keep digging into the stories no one else will touch. Because whatever this was, it wasn't just a tragedy. It was a warning.